My name is Gavin Michael Booth. How Many Days is my mission to meet the people who've inspired my filmmaking career the most. Every day, I'll post a video and it's up to you, combined with the power of the World Wide Web, to help me catch their attention.
Anyone starting out in film, they're just about to write their first script, try to finance their first movie, what's the single biggest piece of advice you can give them that might save them at least a few headaches?
Man, that's tough. All right. Look, there's a fine line you got to walk as the filmmaker, or if you dare to call yourself the artist. And you're listening to a voice. You know how it should be. You know what it should look like. You have a very specific vision in mind, and I think there's an acceptable amount of that a filmmaker should be allowed to get away with, to get their image on the page. Doesn't on celluloid. Doesn't include abusing people around them by any stretch of the imagination. But you have to have this kind of a reasonable amount of unreasonability to even become a filmmaker. Because reasonability dictates that, like, hey man, you're not from Los Angeles, you don't work near a movie studio, you're not born to this business, you can't be a filmmaker. That's for other people. You have to have a reasonable degree of unreasonability. You have to be able to be like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. But not enough where you're like, but I'm going to change the world. Just enough where like, I'm going to do it. Fuck them what they say. So you need a bit of that. But what you also need, the reasonable amount is the kind of key equation. Most people hear unreasonability. They're like, I can do that. I can be a prick. That's not what it's about. The reasonable amount means you have to know when to fucking like let shit go and what hills you're willing to die on. Because that's what filmmaking is. It's just, as a director, your job is to answer a never-ending series of questions, because everyone's asking you these questions because they're trying to make your vision come to life. So they're trying to help you, and you always have to have an answer for them. They come up to you, and you have to be able to give it to them like this. You can't sit there and go, I mean, is that important? You know, shit like that. They'll smell blood in the water and be like, I can follow this motherfucker. He has no clue. As long as you always got a fucking answer for him, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, because that's all subjective, right? At the end of the day, you just have to know your job. You just have to be able to tell them what you want, because they're trying to help you. I forgot where I was going with that. I got wrapped up in that for a second. Oh, unreasonability. But at the end of the day, too, you also have to be willing to accept the fact that, like, if you're making a movie for like $20,000, $10,000, there may be shit in your script or shit in your head that you feel that's the whole movie, dude. Without it, there's no point, that you might have to let go of. You have to be willing to make a concession, man. If somebody's writing you a check, that's a great thing. If it's not big enough check to do what you need to do or what you feel you want to do, then you have to come to a decision whether you're like, okay, I appreciate the offer of this money, but can you hold on to it until I have something that I can tailor into this budget? Or you look at your project and go like, how can I make it fit into these confines? And some people get real tight about that. You know, you meet a lot of filmmakers who refuse to cut their movie. They got a 2.5-hour cut of their movie, and they're like, but it's all essential. You don't understand this movie. If I take this out, it's a puzzle. And if this comes out, this won't make sense. And you're like, bullshit, dude. Your job is to entertain them, get the message across, move them, give them something to think about, give them something they can take away from the theater, this intangible experience that they're not walking away physically with something. It's something here and something here. But you got to get it to them as economically as possible. You can't make them sit there longer than they need to sit there, otherwise the magic starts to dissipate. You know, you sit there and watch a magician for 2 hours, guess what? You're going to be like, I know what a fucking rabbit came from. He was stuffed in a drawer. That's sick. But if you're there for 15 minutes, you're like, wow, that's fucked up. Where'd that rabbit come from? And that's what it is, man. It's about leave them wanting more, make the illusion happen. And when their movies are chunky and flabby and shit like that, you can say what you want about the shit I've done. All that shit's cut to the bone. I pride myself on that. I kill my babies. It's a big part of editing. A lot of people are like, oh, you have to learn how to kill your babies. I kill my baby. I cut their throats, pull their hairs out, suck the marrow and the brain out. That's how fucking serious and committed to the cut that I am. It's not about like, oh, but I believe I need this in there because this is what I want. It's like, fuck it, man. Tell the story. Tell it tight, tell it sharp, get it in front of them. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, all right, you get another chance somewhere down the road. But it's not going to work this time because it was all flabby and run over and shit like that, because I felt like being Tim Burton, like an artist. Not like Tim Burton makes long movies.
Except
but just artsy.
They just seem long when they're not so good.
Visit howmanydays.ca to find out who's on my list. I won't stop until I've met face to face with these artists.